Hey, what's up guys? This is Rob Jr. and this is my channel, Creative Rob. And today I wanted to share with you a really cool way that anybody can draw a portrait. And it's by using this grid system. You may have seen it, maybe you haven't. But if you haven't, this is for you. If you're struggling drawing portraits, this is for you. This is an easy way to draw a portrait without tracing. And if you want to draw a portrait quickly because you want to get into the color and paint, this is for you. So what you need to do is in Photoshop, create a grid. And you want to create a canvas that's going to be the same size as the canvas you're going to use in Procreate. All right, so in Photoshop, create a grid. First create the canvas, then create the grid. On a different layer, create your red lines and make them 2 inches apart across the canvas, horizontally and vertically. And then on another layer, number it on the left hand side 1 through whatever. And at the top, give each line a letter. And that way, each point will have its own, like A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3. And then behind that and then on another layer behind those lines, add another like gray just so you can see the lines better. Now, and on another layer, create some yellow lines that go directly in between all the red lines so that it gives a center to each box. All right, so then from there, you're going to create another layer and import your image inside of that grid. Okay? And that picture will be a map for what you're going to draw. See on the left hand side, that's a model. Her name is Kaylin Baer, and I got in touch with her and said I wanted to draw her portrait, and she was cool with it and wanted me to use this picture. And I will leave in the description, I will leave a link to her Instagram profile. She's a fashion model. She seems like a pretty cool person. You should go check her out. Anyway, that's on the left hand side. That's what you want it to look like when you put your image in there. It's going to show you a grid. Now you open up Procreate and you import your grid, and it should look like on the right hand side. Now what you want to do is in each square, draw what you see. So you might want to start with the eye, and you would look at, like, you would say, okay, that's on line 4 B or 4E, right? And you draw what's inside of that box, and you use those lines to guide you to the precise location of each line of the image. And this is how you can draw a quick, nice looking portrait, very accurate. Now, when you're doing commission work and you need to draw portraits, you don't have time to just sketch this out directly. I mean, some people can, and they're good at it, and that's awesome. Maybe I'll be there one day too, but currently I'm not there. It takes me a lot longer drawing without this grid. With the grid, I can draw it accurately right off the bat. And this is very important. If you're drawing on paper, you don't have the option like we do digitally to warp things into position, copy and move. So on paper, you don't want to erase too much. So this is a great option for paper too. Anyway, let's see. So on the left hand side is my reference photo with the grid. On the iPad, I have the grid, and I'm drawing what I see in each square on the left hand side. And on the right hand side of this is the iPad Procreate Time-Lapse. because the reason I put that one up there is to kind of show you what I'm drawing. When I'm recording with my camera, I'm recording what I'm actually doing on the iPad, where you can see my hand in drawing. My camera keeps bleaching out the color, so it can be kind of hard to see. But I wanted you to see how I was doing this, drawing what I see in each square, even though the color was a little bleached out. And that's why I have the picture on the right, so you can see. Now look how good that drawing's looking already. I mean, it's pretty cool. I tried to sync the Procreate Time-Lapse up with my recording. I didn't do the greatest job, but that's not what it's there for anyway, so at some parts it is synced up better, but it is what it is. It's a Monday, and you know how Mondays are. Now, if you hear me sipping something, I am drinking coffee. I get up early in the morning to create these voiceovers. And if you hear a ringing, I apologize. There's something outside of my window. It sounds like a wire that is running too much electricity through it or something, and is making this weird electrical ringing noise. Very annoying. And I swear the weirdest stuff happens when I try to record. You know, when I start to do a voiceover, my computer fan turns on, weird noises go outside my window. Anyway, let's look on the positive side of things. Here we are creating a video, creating some art, and if you haven't seen this method before, you're learning something new, and now using this method you can create a great portrait. And I've seen this done when I was in art school. This is what they taught us, and I saw some people who could not draw line out a great portrait. I was impressed. So this part, I'm getting rid of the grid. I'm adding my shadings and stuff. I like to do that on a different layer. I'm using this smudge tool, and I apologize about if you notice that the color gets bleached out. I'm still figuring out a better way to record myself drawing where the color doesn't get bleached out. I think I said that already. This is also my second voiceover on this. I accidentally deleted the first one. So if you guys need a template, let me know in the description. I can send you one I created, and I'll tell you what size canvas it is, and you can put your own picture you want to draw behind those grids, and show me what you drew. Or if you need a little more instructions on how to create the grid, let me know in the descriptions, and I can help you out with that. So now I am going in, adding color. This is a fun part, you know, get the outline going and start adding some color. That's when we start having fun. So a lot of times what I like to do when creating a portrait is use a base color and do that on a different layer. And after I create the base color, I will start adding the highlights and shadows. And you want to create your highlights and shadows on different layers. Once you're happy with what you have, you can combine those layers if you're running out of options to create more layers. So I know with some canvas sizes in Procreate, you can only have a certain number of layers. So in the reference photo, she had green. What do you call it? It's not eyeliner, green makeup on around her eyes. And I enhanced that green, made it more green. I thought it would look cool. So here you can see on the right hand side, me adding the highlights. And what I like to do is use the airbrush and lower the opacity and mess around with the brush size. And I do this on a different layer, and I'll make my marking and then use the Gaussian blur to blur it out and kind of blend into the skin and make it look like light is reflecting off of her skin. And with the eyes, eyes are kind of fun to do, especially with digitally. They're a lot easier to do. So what I liked to do with the eyes was for the pupil, just create that circle, fill it in, and then use the smudge tool to create those lines, then blur those lines out. And you also, around the pupil, you want to add a little darker shading. It'll make it look sharp, or not sharp, but I mean sharp as in cool. A little more, it makes it look a little more realistic. And on the right hand side, I'm starting with the hair. I am not the best with hair. I can make it work, but that is something that I need and want to spend more time on. So if you're having trouble with something, the best thing to do is don't avoid it, just tackle it head on. So what I will be doing is, for a week or so, or I don't know, it just depends on how it goes, I might spend a few hours and hammer this out, get it down. Don't be scared to try new things or tackle what you're having trouble with. That's the only way to get better. So what I did with the hair was, at one point though, I did not like what was happening, and I totally erased it and had to repaint the skin, which was not a hard thing to do. That's why painting digitally is so much fun, is you can easily fix stuff and change things around. You can select a certain portion and warp it and distort it. It's pretty cool. So you'll see me do that there on the right hand side. It kind of looks like doll hair, doesn't it? Anyway, so what I like to do with the hair is create sort of a base layer and then start putting lines in that, and then blur the lines out, and then add more lines and blur them out, and eventually I'll have bolder lines, but it kind of gives some depth. But right now I don't feel like I'm up to par with what I can do with hair. So I want to spend a little more time hammering that out. And once I figure it out, I'll create a video and let you guys know the best way to do that. if you're struggling with hair. Hey, and if you got it down, let me know what you're doing, what works for you. All right, now for some fun parts. Now I'm using these spray paint brushes and creating splatters and drips. I feel like this really just topped the painting off, made it look awesome, and I think it turned out really great. Thank you, Kaylin Baer, for letting me draw your portrait. I'm glad you liked it, and let me guys know what you think of this. Thanks so much for watching. I had a blast. I hope you guys had a blast watching, and I hope you learned something. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and have a great day.